So welcome to Scrapbook Live. I am Megan Jax. Today is Friday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. And I have a kind of a sketch for you guys, but I'm going to walk you through like step by step how to put it together. So I don't know how much of a sketch it truly is. We do have the virtual crop from Creative Memories coming up today around 5 o'clock Central. So that's 3 p.m. Pacific. There will be, Creative Memories will publish on their blog. They will publish the sketches. There'll be a nice PDF handout that you can download and work from with measurements and all that fun stuff. It is also the secret box unveiling. So I think that it starts about 15 minutes beforehand. So about 2:45 Pacific time, maybe it was 30 minutes. I can't remember what my email said. So if you haven't unveiled the box to yourself, you'll have a chance to open that up and see what delightfulness is inside. And yeah, so that should be a lot of fun. Today's Valentine's Day, but I'm not working with Valentine's anything on this. I've got to finish up this San Diego album. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. So I'm going to switch over here to my overhead camera and we will go ahead and get started. All right, so I put together this sketch. It's pretty straightforward. I hope just some, nice 4x6s on there, pretty basic background. There's some flexibility in this background depending on the papers that you want to use and so forth. And I do have that fun title on there, which, just gives you a nice little bar up there that you can have title, you can have journaling, you could have whatever you need up there. There is space over here in the lower right corner to do some journaling as well. All right, so I have my photos actually already cropped and matted. I put them on where you see the matte sizes listed, or the 4x6s. That's what I've cut, navy cardstock. I put my photos on there because I didn't want to be trying to cut my photos, and I had several photos. There's 8 photos on here, so I wanted to get them all cut, and I actually am going to be using some peekaboo pockets, so I had a little bit more of those. Get those done ahead of time. But the big thing is we are going to start off we want to have some base paper. I am using base paper. And so I'm going to build my layout on top of some base paper. So I'm using the bright white because that's what I've used in the other layouts that I've done of the USS Midway. And this is all going to be part of several pages of the tour that we took. I will be having some of the base cardstock show through where I talk about using your 2 pieces or 4 different triangles. I'm actually going to let the white come through on one instead of using one of the patterns of the paper. Okay, so to get started here, I've got my base paper. I have 2 pieces of paper that are the same color or the same pattern. The way triangles work is that to get everything the way we want here, we actually need to work with 2 pieces of paper. So I want you to choose 2 matching 12x12 designer papers. If you have papers that don't match, just know that you can still do this, but all 4 of your triangles will be different, which is actually okay, right? I mean, you could really just kind of get fun with all the different paper patterns. If you work within a collection, the chances are those papers are all going to match beautifully anyway, but I am using 2 of the same. And those will be the ones that I will be cutting. You can kind of see here, these rectangles, A and B. I'm going to cut those from this. Now, depending on your paper, the directions I give you, you can actually trim off the bottom of your paper and flip it over and use the reverse side. So my layout would look like I would have a blue band down here, I would have my star triangle, and then I would have the blue again up here. So it's very using the 2 different patterns of paper all the way around. Now, instead of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and cut the 4x12 pieces at the bottom. I'm going to cut those from this green paper. So I really won't have a lot of this dark blue pattern that is on the reverse side of that. I'm going to mostly have the stars and I'm going to have the green. I could have the blue if I wanted to, but when we put this together, you'll see I'm going to have more of that white coming through. I want it to be light and airy. I don't necessarily want it to have a lot of the dark blue in it. I'll have matte that'll carry that darker blue in there. Okay, so to get started, if you are using, well, regardless of what you're doing, how you're doing it, we need to cut off a 4-inch section of our 12 by 12 papers. And the reason we need to do that is because we need to get ourselves to an 8 by 12 rectangle. We need 2 of those. So I am going to pay attention to the direction of my paper. I want to just take a look at it. Mostly I want to flip it over and just make sure. I don't think it's going to matter. This paper, the way they have the words on here, it can actually go any direction. So I don't think it matters too much, but my stars definitely have a pattern to them. You can see here, this orientation, they wouldn't match each other. So I need to make sure when I start cutting that my papers are I need to know where the top of my paper is. So this is going to be what I consider the top edge of my paper. I'm going to be cutting on the diagonal. So I can see here that the stars, both of my paper patterns are going to be going the same way. So this is the top edge. When I cut this, I want to turn it so that the top edge is either on the right or the left. It basically just needs to be on the side. It doesn't matter for this particular place. I just need to cut 4 inches off. And I just need to make sure that my top edge is on one of the sides. So I'm going to cut off 4 inches. And this is the part that I mentioned, if you wanted to, this could be the 4 inches at the bottom of my layout, but I'm not sure I'm going to use that. So I'll just set this aside for now. So I have an 8 wide by 12 long rectangle. Set that aside. I need to repeat that process with my second piece of paper. Remember, this is my top edge, so I need to rotate. You can double check it needs to match. The pattern direction I want it to match, and it does. So I'm going to cut off 4 inches. So you're cutting 4 inches off the bottom or the top of your paper. It doesn't matter. You just need to take those 4 inches off. Now I have 2 8 by 12s. I'm going to set my rotary trimmer aside because the next thing that I need to do is I need to cut these on the diagonal, but I can't get this full length into my rotary trimmer. It's too long. So this is where we're going to turn to my favorite tool, or one of my favorite tools that Creative Memories doesn't offer, which is an 18-inch ruler. The lovely thing about an 18-inch ruler, if you've never used one before, is it will give you that straight edge that goes corner to corner on a 12-inch diagonal. So if you need to be able to measure things that are you just need a longer ruler, basically, is what it is. So I've used it before, I think a part of Scrapbook Live. It's been a little while since I've done it. I've used it in Power. I use it a lot in Winter Frolic this time. So it's a nice little investment. You can get them at the local craft store. They look in the quilting section. And then the other thing you are going to need is going to be a handheld rotary trimmer. I just got this off of Amazon. It's a delightful little thing. If you're a quilter, you have them. Don't use your quilting one. You want to have a special one for your paper. And the other thing, if you don't have a handheld rotary trimmer, but you do happen to have a long ruler, is you could just use a pencil and cut it. If you don't have the handheld rotary trimmer, the nice thing about this is that I can do it in one fell swoop and I can have a nice straight cut. So here's my paper. And again, I need to know where the top of my paper is when we cut this. I've got very explicit. I need you to follow and pay attention to the directions of the diagonal cuts. All right, so you can see paper A. This is going to be paper A, this one here on the right. I need to cut, this is the top edge of my paper. I need to cut from the lower left to the upper right. Right, lower left to the upper right. I'm going to put my ruler on, lining up at the corners. If this is the first time that you've used your rotary trimmer, don't cut your pretty paper with it. Find a spare piece, cut up a bill, do something else with it, or some junk mail. Practice with it so you can get a feel of how it works up against the edge of your ruler. So just a warning there, if this is the first time you've used a handheld rotary trimmer, you want to just practice a little bit. Now I got to move my paper around so that I can get the angle that I want to do this. I did not get a good cut. There we go. You can kind of hear it. This is why you practice, and I'm just having an issue today. So I have a little bit of cleanup that I need to do, but normally I'm much better about that. I'm going to blame the camera. Just a little cleanup. And so there I've got my pieces cut. So I have piece A2 is up here at the top. You can see I have it says A2, which we actually will end up using the reverse. And then A1 is this piece here. So I'm just going to set these aside. And I'm going to cut my next rectangle, my next 12 by 8. And again, I need to make sure I know where the top of my paper is. My stars can go either side. Like this could be the top if I wanted to, but I'm going to use this edge here. This is my top edge. So if you have trees, hearts, something that has a definite top to it, make sure it's over here on your left. And for piece B, we're going to cut from the upper left to the lower right. We're going to reverse our direction. We're going to go the other way. I'm going to rotate my mat entirely. And I'm cutting from what is my upper left down here to my lower right. So upper left to lower right. Much better cut that time. Okay, so I've got triangles, the B triangles, and over here I've got the A triangles. So I'm just going to keep them separated for a moment. The only thing I need to do is, well, according to the directions that I gave you, let me just show you the pieces really quick, how they could all go together. Here's my base paper that I'm going to build everything on rather than trying to paper weld and do other such things. I could, according to the directions, I would have, could put on, let's see, it needs to go that direction. Comes in here at the bottom. This is triangle A or rectangle A. This piece in my right hand, I tell you is A1, which comes here on this side. Its companion, this piece, flips over and goes the other direction. Here's piece B. This comes and fits in here, and this piece fits over this direction. So this is the overall layout made with one piece of paper. You can see basically you can play around with it. I don't want the dark blue at the bottom. And I'm going to tell you, I really don't want the dark blue at the top either. I really just wanted these triangles. I might change my mind, giving myself some flexibility here. I'm going to come in here to my green tonal paper. This is out of both of these papers are from the Called to Serve pack, and I'm going to go and trim this at 4 inches. I'm going to trim 2 pieces at 4 inches each, and these will settle along the bottom. The layout that is going to be before this, the page before it, has a lot of the dark blue already in it, and so I thought it would be nice when you flip the page that we're not going to have so much of that dark blue on the next page. So here we go. So there's where it's starting to take shape. I still have it nice, light, and airy. I've got a lot of white going on in here. Now I'm going to start putting on my photos. and my mats. So I gave the mat size that I put on this layout is cutting your mats to 6, or cutting, you can either use photos without mats. They're just 4x6 photos and 4x4 photos. Or you could go ahead and cut your mats to 4x6 and 4x4. And that way you then just trim your photos down a little bit. That is probably the most efficient way to be able to get a lot of mats out of your piece of cardstock. When we start to go with the 4.5 by 6.5 or 4.25 by 6.25 inch mats, we start to see more scrap coming off of our cardstock or whatever we're using to create those mats. By cutting them to 4x6 and then cutting our photos down a little bit, we can just be a little more economic and with our paper. So let's see here. This photo goes down here. I do have some out of some scraps of the dark navy cardstock. I did cut some that are 4.5 by like the 4.5 size, because the reason I did that is because if you have mats that go with your paper pack or your collection, this is a great time to use those mats to grab some of the 4.5 by 6.5 inch mats, and they can be nice little accent pieces. Called to Serve does not have a mat pack. I can use navy. I can come back in and with some other scraps of paper. These are cut to 4 inches, so I really can't do it from that, but I have lots of the scraps of paper that I can see if I can get a 4.5 inch mat or so forth. So just working here, putting them into place. Oops, that is upside down. It goes like this. Let's see, yes. And then on the other page, I have more photos. Basically what I'm doing is I just want to make sure that I like how everything looks before I commit to putting these paper pieces down. I do have a larger mat cut and a 4x6 on there. I have some others that will be peekaboo pocketed behind it just because I had more photos that I wanted to share. And then this final one here. So this is how it's kind of going together. Now, as I'm looking at this, I can make sure I can kind of make sure how I like things. So it's just a matter of what do I want to, do I want to add any additional detail? And I do need to come in across here with the banner. And I think I will, I think I said that the banner is 1.5 by 7.5. So I think I'm going to cut it out of this dark blue. I have a piece here, so I'll cut that at 1.5. And I think I'm going to cut it from this side. I'm going to add a title there, and I just want to maybe use, instead of having it have like a big word across here, I wanted to have like more parts of the word. So when I put my title on there, I'm not competing with their words. It's more of a pattern versus something that you're trying to read. So 1.5, and then I said by 7.5 inches. And really what you can do is put it on here and just figure out like how far do you want it to be. I'm going to measure just to make sure that the 7.5 is going to be plenty. It'll actually have plenty that'll fit underneath that photo. Gives you some flexibility. So 7.5. You could banner cut it, the ends, or ribbon cut the ends. You could just do a quick angle on the end if you wanted to, if you don't want to do a full ribbon cut. But you can see here how that's going to set in like that. I do want to keep the nice straight line across the middle, even with this other mat. So that other mat is going to kind of dip down a little bit lower. I want to keep straight along here. so that whatever, however this, and this is, I'm going to bring this over just a little bit more. I'm liking how it's going. I'm going to go ahead and I think take my photos off. I'm going to commit to putting down my green and my stars. So I'll get those pieces into place so that as I'm, working and getting my photos put on there, that I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm good. I can start adhering things. In the call to serve, they have a lot of stuff, though. They have some really nice camo, but I really didn't feel that that worked well with the ship. I don't think that the Navy wears the camo like the Army does. I would have to ask my husband. He was in the Marines, so I ask him when I have all the questions that I just don't know the answers to. I'll go into some regular adhesive. And this piece is going to sit just right here along the bottom and flush with the outside edge. Let me see here, because and if you have your other piece that you want to bring in, you can definitely, you can go ahead and bring it along the bottom here. Or you put your other piece. And I know somebody commented that the piece would have been upside down. I think it's because I maybe grabbed the wrong, there we go. If I go that one and this one, which is actually the way, so play around with your triangles a little bit if you need to. I think I just rotated them incorrectly, and that's why it looked like they were upside down. So here is what it would look like if I was doing all three papers, right? And I mean, that's not bad. I guess I should try it out and see if I like it. As I said, you just kind of have to play around a little bit and go with what you like. I just feel like maybe it's going to be a little, I want the light in there. I don't know, maybe I do like it with the blue. What do you guys think? Navy wear digital, not green, digital green, not camo. Okay, perfect. Yes. So, okay, the comment, and that's why I was thinking the Navy does wear camo, but it's a blue camo. It's more, probably helps them blend into their ships. Or you know what I mean? It's not going to be green. They don't need to wear green. What do you guys think? Should I do the blues? Um, I'm going to leave it on there. Let you guys have your say. It takes you guys a little bit to see what I've done. And I know I have to give a shout out. I'm not sure if Jenny's on here, but Jenny says she yells at me when I'm making my decision. She's like yelling, like she's, um, it's like when you're watching a sporting event and you're yelling at the players or the coach, um, that she's like yelling at me on the camera, like, no, you should do this color. What are you doing, woman? So it's like, all right, I'll give you guys, I agree with you guys. I think I like the blue in there. I really wanted the white, but I think since it's a white base with the stars, I think that is really a nice touch. And since I cut the triangles, I might as well use them. Here we go. Yep, lots of good comments on the blue. So I will add this blue in. I am just making sure that I'm getting some good adhesion in these narrower corners because I don't want those to lift. A little bit. And I will add this over on this side. And then I could make my banner white. What I will probably do is I will grab, I have the green. I'll probably use the green. I'll bring that green up into the layout. I didn't do a very good job of getting it butted up there right next to the other one. The downside of doing things on camera sometimes is just getting my head and eyes angled over where I can see everything without getting the top of my head in the camera. Okay, that looks really good. Now it's time to go ahead and start putting my photos on here, and it won't, the background won't be sliding around. That was really what I was trying to avoid. I didn't want the background. I am gonna come in looking at my scraps. It should be, oh, how wonderful. I had a 1.5 inch, the green's upside, oh yes, oh my gosh, you guys. Oh, thankfully I can come in and fix that. But I want it to go down. I want it to mimic, I want that to go down because I want it to mimic the chevrons on the uniform, I think, because that's what it's meant to be, right? It's meant to be mimicking the chevrons on the uniform. So I will come in with my multi-purpose tool and get under that. At least I got that. Thank you for thank you for that. So I see Shirley is commenting about, taking, if you're not sure, is like to take a picture of it. And that's the great thing about the nice camera, like doing the things on the overhead, is I can actually just look over here at my computer screen and I can see what it looks like as if I have a picture of it. I've taken a picture, and it does give me that nice just overview to see what it looks like. And that's once I did that, and I put that and I was like, oh, I think I need that blue. So yeah, it can be a great option to go ahead and just take a picture of your layout to see. It gives you just kind of an overhead view, stand up, take a look at it that way, walk away from it for a little while. This piece of paper is 1.5 inches. It was like wonderful. So I'm gonna cut it to 7.5. This is a scrap from the layout I did yesterday when I was working for something for Winter Frolic. And so I'm gonna go ahead and trim that. It will be great. I will be able to come in probably with navy letters. I really don't know what it's going to say. I think this is maybe I'm not sure if it's this third layout. I don't remember where it goes in the book. I have a blank spot for it in the book. I just cannot remember. I need to ask my husband or look at the map of the tour and see if they called this section. This is like the, you're walking, we're up on the deck where they have the anchor chain and all that other stuff, and you're walking through bits, but we saw like the command, the flight mission briefing area, I guess it would be considered, where like all of the pilots sit. And then a lot of the, I think it's not the ship navigation as much as it is probably like their own intelligence where they're spying on other people. Whatever that's called. I don't know. I have to look all that up. But we're seeing how that goes together there. Yeah, my son's blue shirt does match the paper. I see the comment there. I've got to be better about that a little bit when I'm packing clothes for Cody to take when we go on these trips and stuff like that. I will laugh. So when we did these pictures, we were going to the zoo. I think my husband put on like this kind of old sweatshirt that he had taken with him, or he was getting ready to wear it into the zoo. And I looked at him like, you cannot wear that. I cannot have that in these pictures. Like, you put on something nicer. Maybe it was when we went to the Phoenix Zoo for the zoo lights. I can't remember what it was, but my husband looked at me like I was crazy. Like, he's like, are you serious? I'm like, yes, I'm very serious. Take it off. It's not going to work for me. Okay, I think here we go. I'm not committed to these large blue ones, I think I'm going to have to come back to another sheet of the this paper. Yeah, I think I will. I'll cut it out of that paper. I have extra. I bought like 4 packs of the paper. It's a half pack, so there's only 6 sheets. So I'm coming up about 5/8 of an inch from the bottom is where I'm starting my photo. And I'm about not quite a half an inch over from the inside edge here. I am going to use the pattern of the paper to help me align things nice and hopefully nice and straight. I guess I should double check that my paper is not quite cut straight. That's going to be a problem. Sometimes the pattern, if you mess up a little bit on the pattern, it doesn't help. Oh, I can't reverse this because this is part of a peekaboo pocket. So it's actually going to it's going to open up to show like a lot of their bunks. Man, they sleep in some very narrow things. I'm going to put this on. Because this is going to sit behind the peekaboo pocket that's going to go right there. And so my photo should be able to go about right there. It should be fine. This one, I could peekaboo pocket it, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'll just put it straight. I have lots of photos of the sleeping birth. I don't know. I was fascinated by that. I can't even imagine. Um, I am a terrible sleeper. And so the thought of sleeping on these beds, and I guess maybe you just get used to it, or maybe you don't. Just kind of like, I don't know, made me realize I'm not sure that the Navy carrier life would have been for me, but it would have been better than being on a submarine. I'm going to tell you that much. I've determined I could never have been a submarine person. All right, I am going to go ahead and trim uh, this to 4.5 inches wide. I need a piece that's 4.5 inches wide. So Jill's saying that the large mat bothers her, and that's okay. If there's parts of the thing that don't work for you, then you can definitely leave those out. Uh, that's perfectly all right. I'm going to come in here to 4.5. And then I need this next one to be 6.5. And if I don't like it, I can trim them down to the 4x6. I think that it may have made a little bit more sense if I had mats that were like if I had 2 mats that were like very different in colors. I mean, compared to the rest, like they maybe would still match each other. But since there's no mat pack and I'm really running out of the different colors and so forth, I mean, I could have made them like brown. If I wasn't so concerned with trying to stick true to more of a navy sense with this, I could have used I could have used the camo side of things. Would have been a nice contrast, but I was really trying to avoid using the straight up camo in these pages just because it's not a navy thing. All right, so there's kind of the first page. This picture will get put on as a peekaboo pocket, and so I'll come in with a title here, and then this side over here I need to kind of mimic my line here at the bottom. Let's see, got to grab my correct adhesive. Getting that put on. This next one is not a peekaboo. So it goes on like such. And then I'll put my big mat comes in here. We had visited the USS Midway in 2009, I believe it was. And when we took the tour then, I told my husband, I was like, I don't remember some of these places that we're seeing right now. And so we asked one of the volunteers, and he's like, yeah, no, these are new areas that they had opened, or new-ish areas that they had opened up. So this top one is a 4x6, and it will be a peekaboo pocket with some additional elements here. So this, it will flip up, and then underneath it will sit this picture of the flight where they talk about the flight briefing or whatever they call that. Push it up a little bit higher. Yeah, I want to go all the way up. I want this to be flush along the top edge coming here. Then this gets pushed up, and then I do have space down here if I want to do journaling. I'm not sure I can journal on this particular pattern of paper, but I could always cut a journal box or something to go there. Let me do this. I'm gonna put this picture in place and just kind of hold it in there and figure out where this one goes. And then that will clue me in to where I need to put that other 4x6 that's going to be there when you lift up the peekaboo pocket. And then when you lift up the peekaboo pocket, this is going to sit under here. That'll lift up like such. All right, so I think that is kind of like what you're visually going to see. I do need to double check here because this picture I need to bring up a little. Need to make sure when I put my peekaboo pocket on there that oh, I know what my thing is across the top. Okay, real quick. The way my rectangles sit on there, I've got quite a bit sticking out the top. I'm not 100% sure why that's okay. I think it's because I had a kind of a bad cut down here and it just made the triangle pop off a little bit. So I'm going to cut off. I have about 1/8 of an inch overhang at the top. That will, now when I line the papers up next to each other, what I'm looking for is I want to see that this comes across equal here. And it does. I have a little bit I need to clean up here, or I need to use, maybe I could even come in and just I don't know if I want to trim that off. It's a little bit of the white showing. My triangles maybe weren't as crisp as they should have been. I'll chalk that up to trying to do it as a demo. That's how that's going to look. And then I've got lots of scraps of paper. I will figure out what this needs to say. I need to go back onto their website or ask my husband if he knows what that area of the ship is called. And then I'll put that up, a title up there. So that's pretty much what the layout looks like. Hopefully you guys have a chance to put it together. It is really about, putting that background piece, the background together, and then from there being able to add your photos in any way that makes sense and works best with your photos. You just basically have a background design that's all set to go. And in all honesty, as you're coming into the virtual crop, I want you to keep that in mind when you're looking at these layouts. Like a lot of times we see the virtual crop sketches and we think, oh my gosh, I don't have photos that are going to work. I don't have their orientation of photos doesn't work. We'll rotate the sketch. They think, oh, I have more photos than what they show on the page. Well, you can just create the background and then see how your photos will fit on there. You might be really surprised. Remember to use peekaboo pockets. You can, of course, crop your photos down. If you print your photos at home, or you're going to send up some stuff off to print, consider using one of the apps that allows you to make the little collages that go in a 4x6. So you can get 3x4 photos. You can get some 2x2s or 4x4 squares, that type of a thing. You really just want to keep your mind flexible when looking at the sketches so that you can think, does this background, do I like the background that they have going on? And if you do, put it together and give it a whirl and see how it goes. All right, that's what I have for you guys today. I am going to work on getting a title on here, and then that, actually, I'm excited, wraps up the USS Midway. I think what I have left is 2 San Diego Zoo. I found my turtle pictures from they have the Galapagos turtles there, that I don't have those, and I don't have the polar bears done. And maybe not the pandas. Oh my gosh, maybe I have more to the zoo left than I thought I did. I'm getting very close to having that album done. So I will not be live next week. I'm going to be in Pennsylvania attending a crop. And so very excited about that. I'm going to try to maybe have a video or something for you anyways, just to, keep you guys working, maybe get some inspiration as you're heading into the weekend. I will be sharing some updates from the crop that I'm attending and the project that I'm working on. And then after that I'll be back the following, which will be the very end of the month. It'll be the 28th. And we should be doing borders. I think that's going to be the plan. And then in March, I have some more fun stuff planned. So we'll be very excited. Yeah, the triangles. Darlene's saying she loves the triangles. And I've said this before, I am in my angle era. I need to just get it all out of my system. I think I just can't get past, like, put everything on an angle, cut the paper on an angle. What are some triangles, right? It's all good. So we'll see what's going to be the next era. Maybe I'll jump into my jumbo circle era again, or, well, the decorative trimmer. That's like the vintage era. That's like asking Taylor to go back and perform her country stuff. It's like, she's like, I'm good, I'm gone, it's done. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. I will see you all soon.